What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Scouting the Fins here on the 3 Yards Per Carry podcast feed, also part of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Just like the Dolphins season, this has become an absolute accident where my back is hurting, where my feelings and my heart is hurting. After an accident, your first move should be calling 305-800 pain. You need to be ready for any other pain that does come into your life, whether it's watching your Miami Dolphins or, God forbid, a car accident. Better Business Bureau accredited with an A+ rating. Your car accident personal injury specialist. Fast connection with trusted doctors and attorneys. Always ready to take your call 24/7. Again, 305-800 pain. That is 305-800 pain. And would like to give a nod to our other sponsor, ThompsonCigar.com. This show is also brought to you by ThompsonCigar.com. Use promo code 3 yards per carry. Once again, use promo code 3 yards per carry for a special discount from ThompsonCigar.com. Guys, this was just standard Dolphins. They lose another one they should have won. This time, a heartbreaking loss to the Los Angeles Chargers against none other than quarterback Justin Herbert, which a lot of Dolphins fans wanted to draft in the 2020 draft. They lost to the Chargers on a last-minute field goal after Justin Herbert inexplicably escaped, moved the ball from his right hand to the left hand so a fumble couldn't happen. Jalen Phillips was pressuring him. He captured him and could not bring him down. And all Justin Herbert had to do was throw a 7-yard route to Ladd McConkey, which became a 43-yard dime. That play, that single breakdown, encapsulated everything wrong with this Dolphins team. Miami had a clear advantage, yet they couldn't capitalize. The Chargers were missing 3 starting offensive linemen. Arguably, you could say Quentin Johnson, their potential wide receiver one, and played with 3rd and 4th string running backs. You'd think the Dolphins defense would feast. They'd be able to get a ton of pressure. They'd be able to sack Justin Herbert a couple of times. Justin Herbert was only pressured 30% of the time, which was the 4th worst in the league in week 6. And the Dolphins still couldn't close. Let's start with this defense because this loss begins and ends there. Joining me is my co-host, Eric Whitticky. Eric, this Dolphins defense.
Yeah, I feel like that says it all without saying anything at all. I don't even know where to start with the defense schematically. You just can't get any pressure. You've got the 4th worst success rate when sending for. Jalen Phillips is, I understand that he's coming back from injury, but, a guy at his size, and I know Justin Herbert's a big guy, but Phillips is 6'6", 260 himself. He's got to be able to get Jalen Phillips down. You're facing a bunch of backups in the Chargers offensive line, and you still can't get home. You look just disorganized, hesitant, and Anthony Weaver plays with a very wide open scheme, and guys have a lot of freedom, but it just feels like they're kind of the blind leading the blind right now. There's not a lot of discipline, not a lot of leadership. It's super chaotic. And coach had a comment about this, with you can't have a player-led defense if no one's holding each other accountable. Otherwise, it just ends up with a bunch of freelancing, and you're trying to stop, and you're trying to stop an offense missing half of its starters. It's not effective. Herbert's getting the ball out quickly, about 2.5 seconds per throw.
Oh, almost like Tua.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, exactly. Almost like Tua. Chargers are using motion on 72% of their plays. almost like the Dolphins. The Chargers are running all over the Dolphins, much like the Dolphins would like to do. Much like to the Dolphins' offense's credit, they did do in this ball game, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it just I have to go back to this being a coaching issue on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, I think we have gone past the excuses that Coach and I have made for Anthony Weaver. Like, it's week 6. You had all training camp to do this. Okay, you got 3 rookies on the defensive line. 2 out of the 3 of them are known to be run stoppers. One won a national championship. All right. Like, these guys know what they're doing, but they're missing their gaps. You just paid Zach Sealer, who was playing like arguably, much better than at a Pro Bowl level, a potential slim all pro chance. He hasn't done jack. Bradley Chubb, who you traded a first round pick for in 2022. Okay, he's filling up the stat sheet, but he's not making game-changing plays. What the heck is he doing? Jalen Phillips coming back, from his injury, but and I said this too on Twitter. He is the best player at almost making a play. He is the best player at getting there but not making the play. Jalen Phillips has not improved. Like, that hasn't done anything. This Dolphins secondary, the best player in this Dolphins secondary is Minka Fitzpatrick, a guy who was traded in the middle of training camp. Rasul Douglas was cut by the Buffalo Bills and picked up 2 weeks before the second preseason game or the first preseason game. I'm sorry. How does this happen? Like, how inexplicably wrong does Anthony Weaver been to lead this defense like this? We'll talk about Tua and McDaniel and the offense in a little bit, but holy crap. This defense is giving up almost 30 points per game. You can't win with that unless your offense is completely spectacular, your offensive line is healthy, and you're scoring at least 30, 35 points a game.
Yeah, and
Weaver, when he was the Houston defensive coordinator, had the 30th ranked defense. He had the 30th ranked defense, 28th ranked run defense. And guess what? The same shit is happening in Miami. Mike McDaniel brought Anthony Weaver over here to Miami thinking that he can run that same Baltimore defense, that John Harbaugh, that Mike McDaniel could run, that Dean Pease and Wink Martindale could run. That was not Anthony Weaver. That was a system that was already in place. Anthony Weaver was the linebacker coach or the defensive line coach in Baltimore. You can say he was a culture guy. Okay, if he's a culture guy, why are defenders freelancing? You're talking about this Dolphins defense. Okay, they might have the culture guys. They have the right guys. But where's the schematic responsibility? Are you putting the players in the correct position to win? It is not happening, guys, especially on rundowns. These guys are not hitting their gaps. They're not playing their assignments correctly. On the run, which I believe it was to Kimani Vidal on the second to last touchdown, that might have set up the second to last touchdown. The Chargers faked they were going to run inside. They ran an outside zone play out of a I formation. It was either outside zone or a stretch run play. You had the defensive linemen all squeezed up, pressed along there. The linebackers hit the wrong gaps, even when trying to go inside. Rasul Douglas didn't even try to get inside leverage to do that. He got outside leverage and a hole opened up. This run defense can't do jack. And in the passing game, they're supposed to be really good in zone. They're complete and utter shit. They are complete and utter shit. They're the 30th ranked zone defense, and they're supposed to be good at that.
Yeah, I can't really tell you one particular thing that they are very good at. And this is where, Coach Eric
They're
is,
consistent at being bad. They are
yes.
consistent at being bad. That's what it
It-
is. They're
it-
almost there. They're almost there to make a play, but then some boneheaded thing. And I'm sorry, but this is week 6 of the second year in this defense.
yeah, it hasn't gotten better, and you can point to execution by the players, but at a certain point, I mean, you're expecting me to believe that it's a coincidence that Zach Sealer, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Jordan Brooks, um, all of these guys have just regressed this year, like all of these guys at the same time. No, at a certain point, it's the number one. I do think it is Anthony Weaver not being able to put these guys in position to make plays. Number two, there is an element of execution because there is on every play and every breakdown. But number three, and I think that this is really something that's been kind of in our faces all season long, even back before the preseason. All this talk about changing the culture, they were really just trying to convince themselves. They never believed any of it. And it's evident. These guys do not play as a unit. You have 11 individuals out there on the field on both sides of the football, and that's the way this team looks right now. And that's why you have, despite pockets of decent play here and there, ultimately they end up losing these games because in the crucial moments when you need all 11 guys rowing in the same direction to execute, they're not. And it's just been that simple all season long. And I think that that's the ultimate failure of the coaching staff, even beyond the X's and O's of it, which that certainly hasn't been good to this point in the season. But you've got a unit full of individuals. There is no cohesion on any side of the ball among any position group with this ball club right now.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here uh, a little bit. If I'm Anthony Weaver, I'm saying I don't have the right players schematically. Chris Greer is the guy who built this roster initially before I came here. I'm working with 3 out of the 4 defensive linemen that I never interacted with, never drafted, things like that, right? Or never signed, right? The defensive backs were brought in previously, one from a previous draft class who was then traded in. I'm still trying to run the same scheme, but with different players. I had Cater Kohu get out because of an injury. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb were out last year. I didn't have to work with them. Now somehow I do. These are brand new players for me. I have 3 rookies on the defensive line. Jordan Brooks, he's there. He's potentially the only holdover. Doesn't necessarily communicate. He's not the green dot guy. This is a brand new defense I'm working with, Chris. This is brand new defense I'm working with. Yeah, there's going to be, kinks and stuff. You're the one who gave me the grocery list, and you're expecting me to cook a 5-course meal, Michelin star meal with this. Can't happen. What do you say to that?
I number one, I don't buy it. Number two,
You don't buy it?
um, no, because
Well,
because
that's
you
what you
as,
that. I
as,
mean, it can be valid though. It can be
to
valid.
an extent, sure, but you look at like the edge rushers. Okay, you didn't have Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips on the field last season, but were these guys not in the film room? Were they not? Were they not working with any aspect of the defense
Well, the
whatsoever?
secondary you gave me, they can't hold the receivers way too long. I have
The secondary's been better than the
secondary
pass rush
stuff
this
is not
year.
that good that you gave me, so I have to play soft zone. I have to protect these guys, which is why yards are being made. So what do you want me to do?
At a certain point, you just take the risk. You're 1-5. What's at a certain point, you take the risk and try to lean into your strengths.
Okay, but
even
Chris,
if it
I have a lot to lose. I could be a potential head coach next season. I got a lot to lose. I have to be good.
well, not the way this defense is performing right now.
No, no. I, I
I
this Dolphins defense, they were bottom 5 in EPA allowed. Like they were really bad. Like they could not stop anything that came their way. Like they were bottom 5 in EPA allowed, which was pretty good for their charge because they could pass the ball however they wanted. They could run the ball however they wanted. They were also 9% less than the league average in success rate given up. And the crazy thing is, the Dolphins allowed the Chargers to convert 4 out of 6 third and longs. We're talking about 7+ yards, people. And the craziest thing, the Chargers are not even that good in the red zone, just 25% a quarter red zone touchdown efficiency. Week 6 in the red zone, the Chargers were 67%. 67% compared to 25%. The numbers aren't saving you either, Anthony. The numbers aren't saving you, Anthony. Your defense is collapsing in situational moments. They can't get off the field on third down. Why not? You're the head coach. You're supposed to have the calls. Are you not in the film room?
I mean, the worst part is it feels like, at least in the case of the run defense, we kind of got a glimpse of this at the end of last season. It started in Green Bay when the Packers just ran all over the Dolphins, and the run defense down the stretch last year kind of faded, and we've just seen a continuation of that into 2025. And that's been the really disappointing part of this to me, is that you kind of had an inkling that this might be coming if you didn't change something. And either you don't have the players to stop it, which, if that's the case, Anthony Weaver looks really silly right now for all of his effusive praise of Kenneth Grant in the off season.
We all look.
We all do. To be fair,
fools.
yes, absolutely.
We touted this pass rush and this defensive line of being all world, potential top 10 defensive line, and they can't even get a push.
Yeah, and I'm still incredulous about it. I still believe that if they were wearing a different uniform in a different unit, that they might look like that. And maybe that's me being crazy. But it's just, I still can't wrap my head around these guys just suddenly all dropping off at the same time. And it just seems a little too crazy to me that that's the case, that's the coincidence.
All right, before we get a little bit further into this Dolphins offensive team, that Chargers offense, that execution, it was an all world. They didn't dominate anywhere, but they were timely when it mattered, specifically in third down situations. Just overall in the run game, they were the 13th best in rush success rate. They had the 4th best yards per carry, namely Kimani Vidal, 5.6 yards per carry. I mean, that is like almost 100% success rate on every single down, on first, second, and third down. If you just need 10 yards on first down, if you need 5 yards on second down, or even third and fourth down, that's like 100% success right there. First down per rush, they had 28% of their runs go for a first down, 13th best, middle of the pack. Kimani Vidal, he had 3.4 yards per rush after contact. After someone got a touch on him, he averaged an extra 3 yards. That was the 3rd best this week. You're telling me good tacklers, Zach Sealer, Kenneth Grant, Jordan Brooks, Rasul Douglas, Minka Fitzpatrick, your guys who you paid, who are supposed to be good on this defense, giving up 3 extra yards per rush because they couldn't tackle him down.
And I'd be really curious to see what the splits look like first half versus second half, because all of this is including first 3 or 4 drives for the Chargers where the Dolphins actually held up decently in the run game. But I mean, after maybe midway into the second quarter, the Chargers run game was just doing anything that they wanted to the Dolphins defense.
Their runs on early downs kept Justin Herbert in favorable second and medium, third and short situations. And even when they couldn't get anything done on first and second down, those runs kind of kept Miami on their toes because it neutralized a lot of the blitz looks. I mean, Justin Herbert was able to get the ball out in less than 2.5 seconds, and the Chargers receivers were running everywhere. They had a lot of space, and this is the thing that gets me. Your pass rush is supposed to be the best unit on your team, and your secondary your worst. But your secondary right now looks much better than your pass rush because your pass rush can't get home. You're telling me your pass rush is your strongest because you need to make up for your secondary's weakness? Maybe try being a bit more aggressive with your secondary and have them press a little bit more so that way you don't get beat on those short passes. Because the Dolphins defense, they are the 31st ranked defense in short pass EPA. Anyone can throw short on them and gain yards and move the change. They are getting killed by paper cuts like crazy. And because of that, this offensive structure, it simplified Justin Herbert's reads and it slowed down the pass rush big time too, even though he got the ball out in less than 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's been that same story every week with the short passing game and this Dolphins defense, because of the fact that you feel like you have to get depth in the secondary because you want to protect these guys, and you're just leaving yourself vulnerable to a lot of those short completions. And even then, you're not getting the tackling in the back seven that you need if you're going to play that kind of defense. I'm looking at, it wasn't just Jalen Phillips on that last play to Ladd McConkey. It was Dante Trader whiffing on Ladd McConkey when he could have gotten.
He was in good position to make the tackle. He just whiffed.
Yeah. I mean, it's really inexcusable basic stuff from this defense that they're not executing. And it's frustrating to see it on tape week in and week out.
Yeah. All right, we are going to move away from the defense, and for those of you who are listening, we will head to break shortly. For those who are listening and watching on YouTube, you won't see that break. All right, and we are back from break. This Dolphins offense was such a roller coaster, man. We're always talking about other quarterbacks who throw interceptions and still win because the rest of the team can make up the mistake. For the longest for Tua Tagovailoa, any little mistake is the biggest thing in the world and the reason why the Dolphins lost. Look, he threw 3 interceptions on Sunday, right? Okay, he still brought them back to take the lead with 45 seconds left. A lot of teams can win with 45 seconds left, and their defense can hold it down for 3 or 4 downs, right? But let's break down these interceptions, right? The first one, Jalen Waddle kind of double clutched. That timing was off, and that was just bad. That was just bad. That wasn't on Tua. That was on Jalen Waddle right there. That second one, I would say it's a forced throw into bracket coverage. Some people are saying it was Devon Achane's fault, but this guy's a pass-catching running back. He's not a wide receiver. You can't really expect that out of him. It flipped the field position and led to 3 Chargers points. All right. Same thing, I think 2 drives later for the Dolphins. They couldn't get points on the board because Riley Patterson missed a 57-yard field goal. Meanwhile, other field goal kickers in the NFL are drilling 61, 62, 63 yarders. The final third interception was just a desperation heave. It was just completely irrelevant with 5 seconds left. I mean, Tua is not Aaron Rodgers. I think we can all say that.
Yeah.
He's not throwing a Hail Mary down to Randall Cobb or Donald Driver and making a stud fantastic play. I mean, we know who Tua is. Despite all of that, him and the offense, they led a 2-score comeback late. Showing that toughness and battling through that adversity we haven't seen in the last 5 weeks, which is, I guess, maybe a positive. And they had some confidence even after the turnovers and them being down by 13 points. I mean, that fourth quarter, that second half, fourth quarter game plan that Mike McDaniel led, it was pretty freaking impressive. And even Jim Harbaugh said it himself.
Yeah, no, I mean, they definitely executed really well down the stretch of this ball game. I still think overall this season, and I think that it's and I guess this is just getting outside of the fourth quarter in that game because there's really not much you can nitpick at Tua about as far as that final drive, of course, going 8 for 8.
He was 11 for 12 on the 2 drives with 99 yards and a touchdown.
No, there's nothing you can really get at there as far as negatives for Tua. And the run game was really effective just about all game long, as well for Mike McDaniel, using a lot of Devon Achane really effectively in this game. Season high in rushing yards, 8 yards per carry on the ground.
7 yards per carry on the ground.
7 yards per carry on the ground. But I go back to this offense here, and it just they have failed to put together a complete game, and that's what it feels like we're kind of waiting for with them.
You might have that chance in Cleveland, but who knows?
Well, no, Cleveland's defense is good.
Yo, those guys are monsters, bro. Imagine
That's
over Jonas Salvanaya.
If we kick him inside over Salvanaya, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Just wrap it up.
That's scary to me. But to your point, it was a really well executed drive by Tua, and it's kind of showcases this offense at its best. Obviously, you had the interception where Waddle kind of just the ball pops in and out of his hands. The final throw, whatever, you weren't going to get a Miami Miracle, so really kind of irrelevant. I think the second interception was definitely the worst of the 3 from Tua.
But if you go back to it for the game, people were arguing that was a very costly turnover. But in the end, at that game, 45 seconds left, you're up. If you think about it, if that throw to Malik Washington and he didn't get out of bounds, the clock would still be running, and maybe it's like 20-ish seconds left.
Yeah.
And then you allow a 40-yard kick return where the Chargers are at the 40-45-yard line. And it's like, well, there it is. It's just mistake after mistake after mistake, and it's the little things that really do matter at the end of the day. I mean, this Dolphins run game was good.
It was very good.
NFL in yards per carry. They had the third best rush success rate, 50%, which is pretty good. 33% first down, 33% of rushes went for a first down, 8th best that week. And Devon Achane's yards per rush after contact, best in the NFL, 4.19 yards against the Chargers defense. This Dolphins offense wasn't the main majority issue. It was efficient, it was dynamic, and they were physical in their run game. Their turnovers might have erased their margin for error, but Eric, we're going back to this. This Dolphins offense with Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa, they don't have a lot of margins for error compared to other teams, and it's because of the quarterback and his lack of being able to be a physical guy due to his injury history and concussions, and then the type of offense Mike McDaniel runs that is based off of timings and motions. It's too much. It's too much happening at a time.
Oh, that's the thing. I mean, Mike McDaniel talks about, in a Shanahan system, you have an answer to anything that the defense wants to do on any given play. But that's presupposing that your offense is capable of executing all of the things.
It's theoretical. You see coaches' offensive line breakdowns and reviews. The players are making the proper plays. The players are making the proper plays. You can call and be innovative and do what you want, but if you don't know your players, if you don't know how to gain their strengths even better than what they are, why are we playing Jonas Avenaya at left guard when he's played right guard and right tackle and he's a better guy in the run game? Why are we not giving him more help, attaching tight end to the formation?
More importantly,
That's what the Chargers did with Austin Deckles on the right side, and look what happened.
What is Butch Berry doing with Jonah?
I mean, Butch Berry did that with Patrick Paul, and Patrick Paul has been great. He's been fine.
No, he has, but I mean, I don't know what
is it a Butch Berry thing or is it a Jonas Avenaya thing?
I mean, probably a little bit of both, because I don't know any offensive line coach that would tell a guy in a pass blocking set that your first movement is just to consistently lunge forward.
Liam Eichenberg's not like that.
I know, not even Liam Eichenberg does that. But I'm just watching Jonah just consistently just throw his arms out at guys, and it's
and more so pass blocking sets. We got, I don't know.
It doesn't make sense to me. But I
only that, this is not what the offensive line is supposed to look like either. But who's in charge of getting the players? Chris Greer.
Right.
You signed Austin Jackson to a deal. After that season, he hasn't been healthy. He's done with IR. James Daniels, who was your prize free agent signing, played 6 snaps, put on IR. You have a quarterback who can get a concussion at any time and is sometimes playing scared.
Yes. And that's why he's not as accurate as he used to be, because his footwork is not what it used to be.
The good thing is, because listen, we're listing a lot of negatives. The good thing is, Devon Achane continues to look like a top 5 efficient back.
He's a stud
in the NFL. Absolute stud. Absolute stud. And since we're still on the topic of the offensive line, Jonas Avenaya tied 3rd in hurries, tied 4th in pressures in week 6. PFF's worst graded offensive lineman in pass blocking. Cole Strange was just cut by the Patriots and was brought to the team 2 weeks ago. Tied 1st in hurries allowed, tied 4th in pressures allowed, and he's in this new scheme 2 weeks in. Former first-round pick. I talked to the guy on our show, Cole Strange. This is a fit for him, but he's 2 weeks in and he's playing alongside Larry Borom. I mean, what?
Hey, man. Respect Larry.
Respect Larry.
Some of those runs off the right tackle weren't bad.
And you know what? You're not wrong. They've been much more efficient. They have gotten much more success running to the right side of the offensive line. Passing-wise, not so. And the thing is, though, you can see it. You can see it. Like, the way this offense is designed for Tua to read is deep, intermediate, short. Can't read the deep because you got pressure in your face, so now he has to run around and find his flat, hot guy or the guy up in the flat. And all defenders have to do, you rush 4 or rush 5, get him to move, make him throw short. You just press everyone, come close into it. If the ball is batted or if it hits the receiver's hands, there's a chance a defensive back can make a play and get that interception. I mean, Sure, Tyreek Hill is no longer on the offense. That opens up some deep shots to Jalen Waddle and Darren Waller, but majority of the time you're pressuring, you're not even blitzing that much and you're getting that much pressure.
Aside from the offensive line, and I know the offensive line is a big limiting factor here, why is it so easy for opposing defenses to take away what Mike McDaniel wants to do?
Is that a rhetorical question or is
No,
this an actual question?
well, it's just, I mean, it consistently like the one
Well,
thing that
if
I
this is
don't.
an actual question, I can tell you what this Mike McDaniel offense looks like. Your running back, if it's
Please.
Devon Achane or Ollie Gordon, it's either swing pass or they're running to the flat. Wide receiver one, whoever it is, your X receiver, he's running a deep. He's either running a post or he's running a deep intermediate crossing inside. Your tight end, very rarely going up the seams. He's staying around the middle of the field or going to the flat or crossing right across the formation. The only one who's done really well up the seams is Darren Waller, who should be playing a little bit more. He's a mismatch. I mean, come on. That's
But
also a
even
little
that,
visible.
it just frustrates me how every week, and really it's been for the last year and a half, I hear a lot of, well, the defense is taking this away from us.
No, that's just an excuse. That's just
Like, okay, but is it
that
not
is a
your job
terrible,
to kind of
terrible.
get back to those things?
That is a terrible, terrible excuse. And the thing is, they can't even do regular pass sets because the offensive line can't handle it. This offensive, excuse me, but this offensive line is built to run the ball. We saw it last game. We saw it the previous game too. This offensive line is built to run the ball. This is not a pass first offense. And yet the thing is, because they're behind all the time, they're forced to be a pass first offense. You get them down 7, they're passing the ball 90% of the time. You're down 14, they're passing the ball 90% of the time. This offense needs to play with the lead. This Dolphins team needs to play with a lead. Otherwise, they can't do anything, which is why I was surprised about the second half comeback. They were down by 2 possessions. When was the last time the Dolphins came back behind 2 possessions? Like during that time period, I was like, holy crap, things are changing. Things are changing. Maybe this is, this is what happens. And then bada bing, bada boom. The numbers showed that the protection for the Dolphins and Charger was not the story of this game. It was the lack of finishing plays by the Dolphins defense and even the situational execution of the offense. Football is all about how you play situationally, and they are failing at it. And this is just a perfect encapsulation of the Dolphins with Mike McDaniel's tenure. I mean, does this guy last till Spain at least? Does this guy last until the Commanders game?
I mean, I kind of want to echo Coach's sentiments from yesterday on the post game, and I think the answer really is, I don't. I think so, if for no other reason than I don't know if there's a interim option that really changes things for you, at least in 2025. Because you look at the staff, I mean, at first it was Anthony Weaver was kind of seen as the guy in waiting, and now it's like I don't really know about that at this point. I mean, I guess the answer would be Daryl Bevel would be your interim guy. But that's the thing. There is no good options, Hassan.
Maybe Bobby Slowick, but we saw it was almost the same situation with CJ Stroud.
Yeah. There's no good
I mean,
options
look what
right now.
former Dolphins wide receiver coach and now current Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator Josh Grisard is doing with Baker Mayfield and that Buccaneers offense.
Yeah.
I mean, just take a look at that. As soon as these coaches leave the Dolphins, they do well. Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, Josh Grisard. Brian Flores, Minnesota defense still looks great. Darren Rizzi is an assistant head coach and special teams coach with Sean Payne in Denver. Denver was a playoff team last year with Bo Nix as their quarterback. And the thing is with this coaching staff, it's a player led locker room, and we're gonna talk about this narrative and what Tua said, in his presser. I mean, Ethan was there. It feels like this entire thing was completely taken out of context. He's talking about player only meetings about film review. Number one, you're doing extra film review outside of your normal thing. Does that not like ring any bells? Like, hello, like Mike, we are doing extra film review on the offense because some people don't understand it. We need help, or people are not getting it. That's why they're showing up late or not showing up at all. Does that not ring any alarms or any bells? And then Mike McDaniel comes out later today and he's like, Tua shouldn't have said that. And I'm sure he hated that response because that's Tua calling out Mike McDaniel. Meanwhile, we hear in the national media from like Tom Pelissero and other reporters saying that Mike McDaniel has a limited quarterback, that, the offense has to do this in order to succeed with this quarterback. Well, if the quarterback and wide receivers and offensive line are in there for extra film review to figure out this offense or to play a little bit better without the coaches, and the coaches aren't preparing them, is this more of a player issue or is this a coaching issue?
I mean, I think the answer is I mean, it's again, I hate to be the guy that's like, well, the answer is kind of in the middle. It's both, but it really is, because let's be honest, all this stuff that you're getting back and forth between Tua and McDaniel, and McDaniel kind of speaking to the media in certain cases, and Tua, throwing his veiled shots. This is just what a messy divorce looks like. This is what it looks like. This is what it is. We're in the mid stages of that at this point. And I suspect that if they continue to lose, it's only going to get worse until maybe we get out and out, just, public airing of grievances. Because this is kind of what happens when people's jobs are at stake and they know that they're losing it in real time.
Yeah, I get that Mike McDaniel wants to envision a culture where players self-govern, but that doesn't work without accountability or veteran hierarchy. The Dolphins have a leadership by presence with Tua, Tyreek, Aaron Brewer, Minka Fitzpatrick, Zach Sealer, but not leadership by example when that adversity hits. It's not about, yelling or being an authoritarian. It's about clarity and focus. These guys don't know what standard they're being held to right now because Tua's standards is extremely high. And Mike McDaniel even said it might be like they're meeting Mike McDaniel standards, but Tua is saying that his standards are being met. So if it's a player-led locker room and Tua is the leader of the offense, if the expectations not being met in the offense, and Mike McDaniel is the offensive coordinator, he's the offensive guy. It's not being met by the quarterback, but the head coach, offensive or the de facto offensive coordinator, offensive guy, his standards are lower. There's a bit of a fracture there. Are you saying that Mike McDaniel is accepting something that is less than acceptable compared to a player and Mike McDaniel is the head coach? Are you saying that he accepts less things? Maybe Mike McDaniel is not the right coach for this team, or maybe he's not the right head coach right now.
The bottom line is, you mentioned it when you mentioned guys like Dan Campbell and guys like Ben Johnson, and one of the things that they do that Mike McDaniel has failed to do in his entire tenure with the Miami Dolphins is you can have a player-led locker room, but the football team still has to take on your identity. You still have to have an idea of what you want your team to look like. You can't just
Fast, flashy, and amazing.
leave that up to the players and say, okay, you're gonna decide what we are. No, you still have to decide what you're gonna be. You
But
still have
the
to
thing
have a
is,
vision for the football team. It can't just
you
be
can't even get there without a coach like Mike McDaniel, who can actually lead the players. He's not leading the players. He's not leading the team. You
I
lead
hate
by
to
example.
do
You lead by example. And what is the example Mike McDaniel has done? You can say adversity is opportunity, adversity is opportunity. Well, when the adversity hits, are you making the adjustments? That's your opportunity right there when you're down. Heck, Tua has said it. Other players have said it. We as analysts and even other fans have said it. Even opposing defenses has said it. Coming out of the second half, we knew exactly what they were going to do. They don't make any adjustments. If you're down, that's adversity, right? What's the opportunity you're going to do? Are you going to make those adjustments, coach? Are those adjustments not being made? If the players are having these film sessions, what opportunities are you doing to make sure the players know what they're watching, what they're understanding? That's something on you, coach. That's something on you.
I mean, it's Mike McDaniel acts like, talks like a guy that knows that he does not have any answers right now. And that's very apparent to the players. You can say adversity is opportunity all you want till you're blue in the face, but if you don't believe and you don't act yourself in that way, that adversity is opportunity and it's something that you can overcome, and you're just kind of meekly accepting, this is just what it is, and you sound like Eeyore in your press conferences, and it's, well, the guys, we have to win and play better, and I hate to be that guy about it, but what do you I mean, what do
We
your
need to
players
be
think it is?
better. We'll learn from this. We're moving on to the
Like,
next
okay,
week. But the same things keep showing up every Sunday. But listen, I'll give you this. There's been a big decrease in pre-snap penalties and motion penalties. Good. That's good. But everything else has been bad.
yeah.
Everything else has been bad. And we'll end with I'll end with this because the Dolphins are kind of good enough to win every week, but they're not tough enough to finish every week. And that's the gap between, being a middling, mediocre football team and a good to great football team. Right now, the Dolphins seem bad to mediocre. And if they lose this next game to Cleveland, I honestly think they could lose to Cleveland. Look at that Cleveland defense, and it's going to come up to which defense can stop the offense from scoring.
I think right now, if I had to make I would pick Cleveland. I would.
Cleveland.
And because Quinshon Judkins is going to run for 200 or something.
You had Rico Dowdle run for 200. You had
I know.
Bell run for 150.
And you've got to see Quinshon Judkins and Bijan Robinson in the next 2 weeks.
We'll see whose head falls first in the coming weeks. If the heads roll, if Stephen Ross becomes the executioner, or Chris Greer, God forbid, somehow becomes the executioner of some coaches on this team. But we'll leave at that for now. Stick with us here on Scouting the Fins, part of the 3 Yards Per Carry podcast feed, also part of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. And I say this with a big sigh. Go Fins, baby.